I built a castle. And now I want to fill it chock full of cool, fun, weird, wacky redstone contraptions. And to start, the first thing I want to do, obviously, this is the most important thing. I want a big door. And the first thing I'm going to need to do is go ahead and clear myself out of space here. And my block of choice for the front of this thing is going to be this acacia fence, because I think it'll work pretty well as a front gate, given the color palette we went for with the roof there. I think it'll match up pretty well, and I'm correct. I am absolutely correct. That's nice. So now, how do you build a flying machine? Well, I'm struggling. I have really not messed around with flying machines like ever, and I've basically having to break the entrance of the base. I don't understand what I'm doing. I'll figure it out. Well, as you can see, this is going absolutely swimmingly. Not broken in the slightest. I don't understand flying machines. Well, I figured it out, but I didn't quite line this up properly. Can I catch this? Come back. Okay. Okay, well, that's functional. That's exciting. Okay, now I think I've come up with a design that's actually going to function. It might not end up looking the prettiest, but I think it's going to be functional. So if I press this button here, that would then be the machine in up position, technically, right? And then if I power, I think this one it was again, and that returns to the open position. And I think if I make the one next to it out of honey blocks, we won't have problems with push limits, and that should work out fine. And after totally not struggling with this thing for about an hour, as I definitely didn't keep accidentally setting it off, I think everything's in place. The world is completely backed up. I just made a fresh backup. Everything is looking good, and I think this thing's ready to give a proper test. Everything's in a position that this should close up just fine. Okay, so if we are in our base and we want it to close up behind us, what has just occurred? Okay, I've double checked all the redstone here. Everything looks normal. Everything looks fine. It's currently registering that it is in the open position. Oh wait, no, I have this backwards. Hold on. Now it is registering that it is in the open position. I sincerely hope. Guys, I've been working on this project for 2 days now. I think I'm approximately 7 hours into trying to understand what's going on with this thing. I've never worked with flying machines before. This is design number 3. A little peek behind the curtain. My brain's fried, so there's a good chance that looking at this redstone down here, I've messed something up. There's a good chance, but I think right now, so this is saying that this has been triggered, which means these have been fired, which means this should be in the down position, which means if I flick the button again up here, it should trigger this redstone line, which should send it up. That's how this is supposed to go. Let's see how this goes. Come on, baby. That's just functioned. Okay, now back down. Yes. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. It worked. Oh, I'm so happy. Now, the next thing you need for a redstone castle is, of course, a secret dungeon. And the way I plan on making this happen is going to be coming in here, this little room, and I'm going to decorate this room. I also have a little hidden button or a little hidden trigger system somewhere, but it's going to open up the floor so that we can come down here into a hallway, and then it'll lead into a dungeon area down here. The way I'm going to make this actually drop down is going to be with some piston action. I've made one of these before, but it's been a long time, and I'm going to try to clean up the redstone that I have for it. So this might be a bit of a trick. Gone ahead and I put the double piston extender in because that one's pretty easy. That one's pretty easy to understand what it's doing. I've made these a handful of times. That one's pretty simple. Now the trouble is going to be wiring this guy up. I think I've come up with a system that sort of kind of works. I'm actually just going to power these top pistons, so then they just kind of end up in the upward position. A bit of a T flip-flop over here going on. It drops properly, but in the closing animation, this one comes up first and then that one, which is kind of not correct. It's not It's not the worst thing in the world, and I don't know how to change that. Okay, now I've got the triple piston extender in place. Everything's wired up. The trick I think now is going to be making sure that everything actually functions when trying to fire at the same time, because I'm running into some mild, you know, connectivity issues as these things run next to each other. This little piston right here, as part of this circuit, is kind of getting powered when the power comes through this line of blocks here. So I'm hoping that won't end up being a big deal. But we're going to try it. We're going to try it. So everything's in place. Everything's functional. I'll show you guys real quick. We got these guys are wired up separately. But you see the triple piston extenders go off without a problem. Now these guys are up and the wall's closed. The floor is closed. It's good. It's closed up. And now it's open. Then I ran into a little bit of a problem. Okay, I've narrowed it down to one culprit, and it seems to be this system right here. So when it's operating by itself, it does fine. But as soon as I try to power it as part of the system, it spits its block out just fine. But it doesn't like to pick that block back up on the last fire. This piston just doesn't fire again for some reason. And it's not the observer. I put a piston here to test it, and this piston was firing properly throughout the entire cycle. It's just, he just doesn't, I don't understand. Pistons are absolutely ridiculous. I couldn't explain this to you at all. I could not even try to explain this to you, but for some reason, quite simply, the only thing I did was turn these blocks back into wool, so solid blocks, and ran repeaters next to these pistons, and for some reason that seems to have fixed the problem. So that goes up just fine, and it all retracts just fine. I have no idea at all why on earth that would function that way, but it seems to function that way. So let's try this fully hooked up, whole thing. That is one closed up floor. And that should be one opened up staircase. That, I don't know why that functioned that way, but it has. And it works. So that's good enough for me. Now that I've got all the decorations in place, I'd say this place is looking pretty nifty. I quite like it. I think this is a neat little brewing room. I mean, I feel like I'm in a closet. Pretty contained space, but we got all, you know, a lot of wall decoration, shelves, cool lighting, right? We got some books, some storage, you know, the brewing stand. I mean, what else could you need in this little room back here, right? So you guys might be wondering, how do you actually get into the floor, right? How do you get into the drop-down floor, into the secret area? Well, it's quite simple, actually. You see, all you gotta do is open this barrel. I haven't done anything down here. Don't look too much at it. All right. If you look at it passively, right, it looks like just a dark hallway. It just goes off that way, right? Maybe. I think this is pretty cool though. It just drops down, reveals a little secret passage. Hit the barrel again to close it right up. It's nice. I like it. I think that room's done. Now, this castle is quite obviously missing one very important feature. We need some cannons. I mean, what's a castle without a cannon, right? What's a castle without defense? And I think a cannon would be super fun. Launch some TNT off at the enemies, right? I think that'd be super fun. I've never built one of these before, and it'll be an interesting challenge. I'll just put that block back. Don't worry about that. I think it'd be an interesting challenge, but I mean, I think it's got to be done. Like, you can't not, right? You gotta have TNT cannons you can man up here, blast out at the enemies, right? Right. Let's see if I can come up with some designs. Well, this is extremely old school, but it functions, and it blew up on itself a few times, but I've tested it now 3 or 4 times, and it's not blown up again. I want to show you guys how it works. I mean, that's pretty cool, right? The question is, how on earth am I going to install this over there? I think we might need to shrink it down just a little bit. Okay, so I've shrunk the design down just a little bit. I'm hopeful this still functions in the same way. If it doesn't, well, I just created a backup, so it should be okay. So let's see what happens. Oh my! Oh my! That thing just leapt out of there. What the heck? I see that did not function the way I wanted it to, but I actually am kind of glad it happened that way. That's amazing. I want more. Do it again. Pew! Oh my god! What? What? What happened that time? Okay, I wanted more delay. I got more delay. Hopefully, this will be plenty of TNT to send one of them launching. And hopefully it doesn't blow up on itself. That would be terrible. That's much better. Much, much, much better. That's actually hit close to the ground. That could damage someone. That's beautiful. Now let's make this thing look nicer. And maybe add a few more in. These are some absolute monstrosities, bro. Absolutely ridiculously large. But I believe they're all fully functional. Hit it. Oh my. That just wimpily came out. Let's try you and you. Same time. What do we got? Ooh. That one launched pretty well, and that one hit a tree. Alright. That's lovely. Lovely. Rear defenses are enabled. And of course, out the front, we have plenty of line of sight. We have a closable gate. And you can stand up here with a bow and arrow pretty easily. So I'm not that worried about the front side. That can be pretty easily guarded. Out the back, though, you can have one person running back and forth hitting buttons. Easily guarded from the back. And of course, if things are going terribly wrong while you're trying to defend the front gate, you do have a little panic room you can run right into. A little panic staircase. Go run, help. I quite like this place. I think this is really cool. This has been a really fun redstone video, a redstone project. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please make sure you leave that like for me down below, as it really does truly help out a whole heck of a lot. Subscribe if you guys are indeed new over here. Share this video with your friends. With that, I'm gonna wrap this one up here. This has been Jironic, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Bye. Above. You do it on me, I'm